All right, guys. So I'm gonna go over how to do each of these problems from this review. This review is very similar to what your quiz will look like, which you guys will have on Wednesday. All right. Um, so what will happen is a question will pop up asking you to put in your answer, all right, of what you got for the problem. And then once you answer that question, then the explanation that I'll go through the problem just like it would have in class will pop up. All right. And then that will happen for each problem. And then if you guys still have any questions about any particular problems, then just reach out through email or through Google Classroom to me, and we'll go from there. All right. So at this time, all right, just when the question comes up, just answer it, and I'll move on from there. All right. So in order to do this first one, left-hand sum with delta x equals 6. All right. What we want to do, since they gave us our delta x, all right, that means our first rectangle is going from 0 to 6, and then from 6 to 12. So we have 2 rectangles here. All right. Now for all of these, what you always put on the outside of the parentheses is your delta x, which in this case was 6. All right. Then inside is going to be your heights of each of the rectangles, which are going to be the y values. All right. So since this is a left-hand sum, our first rectangle, the left side is at x equals 0. The right side is at x equals 6. All right. Since it's a left-hand sum, you go to the left-hand side and take the height of that, which is this point right here, which is 30. All right. And then you then do the second rectangle. Second rectangle, the left side's 6, the right side's 12. It's a left-hand sum, so you take the height at 6, which that is 60. All right. 30 plus 60 is 90. 90 times 6 is 540. That's how you do the first one. All right, now on to B. All right, so this time, once again, we are given the delta t or delta x, whatever it may be. We're using t in this case. All right, so this time it's 4. So we're going from 0 to 4 because 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. And 8 plus 4 is 12. So here we have 1, 2, 3 rectangles. So our delta x goes on the outside, which is our 4. All right, just like for the previous problem, 6 was our delta, that went on the outside. Now it's 4, that goes on the outside. All right, and now it is a right-hand sum. So now we look at my first rectangle where x 0 is on the left side, 4 is on the right. We take the height there, so that is 40. All right, plus the second rectangle is from 4 to 8, so we take the right side, which is 8, and that looks like 50. All right, and then the last one, the left side's 8, the right side's 12. And I take that, and that is, looks like 10. So 40 plus 50 plus 10, you're allowed to use your calculator. That comes out to be 100 times 4, which is 400. And that's the answer to 1B. All right, now on to 1C. All right, now with this one, all right, we are not given our delta. We're giving n equals 6. All right, so we first need to figure out what our delta x is. And in order to do that, the formula we use is b minus a over n. All right, so that is b in this case is 12 because that is where the interval ends. A is where it starts, which is 0. All right, and n is the number of rectangles I want, which is in this case 6. So 12 over 6 is 2. So our delta x is going to be 2. All right, so 2 is going to go on the outside. All right, which means every 2 we have a rectangle. All right, so every 2, just like that. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is a right-hand sum, so we're going to take the right-hand height, which ends up being every single y value except for the first one because we don't want the left hand. If it had been left-hand sum, we would use all of them except the right. So we go through and take all of the y value, so that's 20, this first rectangle, that's the right side height. Then it looks like that is 40, and then we are at 60, and then we are at 50, then we are at 30, and then the last one looks like it is at 10. So we do all of that and then multiply by 2, and we get an answer of 420. All right, 420 is our answer. All right, now on to D. All right, now for this one, we are given a midpoint sum. All right, midpoint sum with n is equal to 3. So once again, we have to find our delta x. So it's going to be 12 minus 0 again, which is 12. But we do 12 divided by 3, which gives us 4. All right, so it's from 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12. Now, we're not, so this first rectangle starts at 0, ends at 4. If it was a left sum, we would use the 0 height. If it was right sum, we would use 4, which is the 4 height. Now it's a midpoint, so what's in the middle of 0, 4? Well, it's 2. So you use that height right there, which is 20. So it's 20 plus. So then we go from 4 to 8, 6 is in the middle. So we're going to use that, which is 60. All right, and then from 8 to 12, 10 is in the middle. So we're going to use that height, which is 30. So we add 20 plus 60 plus 30, which is 110. 110 times 4 is 440. Right? So there's number 1. All right. Now let's go down to number 2. All right. With the geometric formulas. All right. So for this first one, all right, 2x plus 3 is a line. It's a line with a positive slope crossing at 3. Right? You don't really need to know across at 3. You just need to draw a line that looks like that. Right? And then it goes from 2 to 3. So we're trying to find the area under the curve from 2, if that's x equals 2, and we'll just put 3 over here. All right. So what we're trying to find out all this area in here. All right. And what shape does that form? That forms a trapezoid. All right, so the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height. And in this type of problem, the height is always going to be this distance between the two x's. So whatever the difference is between your B and your A, 3 and 2. All right, we'll plug that in a second. And then it's going to be times your base 1 and your base 2. All right, your base 1 and base 2, this is your one of your bases, here's the other base. And what we're going to do to get those is we're going to plug 3 and 2 into the equation. All right, so it ends up being 1/2 times the height, which is the difference between 2 and 3, which is going to be 1, times base 1 and base 2. Base 1, you plug 2 in. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. Plus, now I'm going to plug 3 into here. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. And then just 7 plus 9, 16. Half of 16 is 8. And there's your answer for 2B. All right. Sorry, 2A. Now, on to 2B. So when you see a square root of a number minus x squared, that is going to be a semicircle. And what's going to happen is whatever the square root of that number right there, that's a radius. So the square root of 9, all right, the square root of 9 is 3. So we have a semicircle going from, that's -3, that's 3, this is 3. And since we are trying to figure out from -3 to 3, we are trying to figure out all of this area right here. All right. In order to do that, we use the formula for a circle, which is pi r squared. And since we're doing half the circle, because it's -3 to 3, it's a semicircle we're finding, so it's pi r squared over 2. Then you just plug in the radius, which is 3. So it's pi times 3 squared over 2, which is 9 pi. That's a bad 9, sorry. 9 pi over 2 is my answer. All right. All right, now on to 3 and a chart. Okay, so now we're back to approximating using rectangles. And this right here, this row right here is where we're going to get all our heights from, right? In the previous number 1, you used the y value of the points. Now we're just going to use this row in order for us to find the heights. All right, I'm sorry, the area. So we are given that n equals 7. So we need to figure out b minus a. So b is where we end up, which is 9, minus where we started, or a, which is -5, divided by n, which is 7. So that's n, double negative, changes to 14 over 7, which is 2. All right, so we have our delta x is going to be, for this problem, it is going to be 2. All right, so that goes on the outside. And then what we're going to do is every 2, from plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. There's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our 7 rectangles. And we are going to do a left sum. All right. And our left sum means here's our first rectangle from -5 to -3. You take the left hand height first, the left hand side's height first. So that's going to be 136. The next one is these two, but we pick 179. So since these are spaced out every 2, we're actually going to use every single one of these values except for the last one. So 179 plus 145 plus 209 plus 256 plus 199 plus 204. And then you would add all those numbers up, multiply by 2, and the answer is 2,656. All right, now on to B. B is the exact same problem, except we're doing a right sum. All right, so you are going to put, so n equals 7, so I do 9 minus -5 over 7, I get 2 again. And all of these numbers are going to be exactly the same, except because of the right sum, I'm not using 136. I'm going to use all of these numbers are going to be put right here. I don't feel like writing all those numbers again. So it would be 2 times 179 plus 145 plus 209 plus 256 plus 199 plus 204 plus 297 times 2. And that gives you an answer of 2,978. Okay, so left-hand sum, we use all of them except for the last one. Right-hand sum, we use all of them except for the first one. All right, on to C. All right, so for this one, all right, we are doing a midpoint sum of delta x equals 4. Notice we're now not going from -5 to 9. We're going -5 to 7, but we're doing 4. So it's -5 plus 4 is -1. Plus 4 is 3. Plus 4 is 7. So our delta x goes on the outside. All right. And then we take the middle of it. So -5 to -1, what's in the middle? -3 is. So we have 179 plus from -1 to 3. This is in the middle. So 209 is what we use as our height. And then from 3 to 7, 5 is in the middle. So 199 is our height. So we add those all up in your calculator, multiply by 4, and you get 2,348. And there's 3. All right, on to 4. All right, now this one, we are using an equation. All right. So here we used all the y value. The heights came from this thing. The y values here are going to come from plugging x's into this equation. All right. So the first thing we want to do is the graph of it doesn't really matter. What does matter is you start at 0, whatever that number is. That's here. That's our first x value. Then you need to figure out what delta x is. So b minus a over n, which is 6, and that gives us 1/2, which means you start at 0, then your next x value is 0 plus whatever our delta is, which is 1/2. So I'm just going to write it as 0.5. Add 1 to 0.5. I'm sorry, add half to 0.5 and it's a 1. Add a half again and it's 1.5. Add again, it's 2. Add it again, it's 2.5. And add it one more time and it's 3. Why do I stop at 3? Because that's this number right here. If you look, there's our 1. If I just draw a little line to kind of separate where this would be, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles, which is what we want. So our delta, which in this case is 1/2, is going to go on the outside of my parentheses. Now, to get this height, it's a right rectangle. So here's my first rectangle. I'm going to plug in 0.5. Where am I plugging 0.5 into? This right here. So it's going to be 0.5 cubed plus 1 cubed plus 1.5 cubed plus 2 cubed plus 2.5 cubed, and then finally 3 cubed. So since it was a right rectangle, that's a right sum, we use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those 6. You don't use 0. And then you would just plug these numbers into your calculator. You have to cube all this. Make sure you put the parentheses in the right spot and then multiply by half. And you get roughly 27.56. Rounded to 2 decimal places is plenty. All right, 27.56 is our answer. All right, on to B. All right, so following the same steps we did here, the nice thing is you were given delta x is 1. You don't need to find it. You start here at 0. That's our first x value. We then keep adding our delta x until you get to the top one, which is 4. So 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. And I stop there. And there we have our rectangles. Like I said, the graph doesn't matter. There's our 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. All right, so our delta x goes on the outside. All right, so we have 1. Then to get our heights, it's a left sum. So this is in my first rectangle here, 0 is the left. So I got to figure out what this height is. To do that, you plug 0 into that x. So I get 2 to the 0 plus, same thing here. I plug in 1 at the left side. So it's 2 to the first plus 2 to the third, 2 to the second, plus 2 cubed. I don't do 2 to the fourth because in this last rectangle, the left sum is the 3. Right? And then you add all of those up, multiply by 1, and get an answer of 15. All right, now the last one. For a problem like this, we're trying to find the exact area. What you have to do first is find the area of each of these shapes. All right, so this first triangle here, all right, this from -1 to 1 is a triangle. So triangles are 1/2 base times height. The base is 2, right? That's 2. The height is 1. So 1 times 2 is 2, and half of 2 is 1. So that is 1 right there. The area of that is 1. This triangle right here is 3 times 2, the height, which is 6, divided by 2. That's 3. But since it's below the x-axis, all right, below the x-axis, that is -3. Right? So once again, it's 1/2 base times height. The base is 3. From 1 to 4 is 3. The height goes down to -2, so that's 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Half of that is 3. But since it's below the x-axis, it's negative 3. For this next area, it is a trapezoid. I don't like the formula for it. I don't like doing trapezoid, so I like to split it up like a triangle, rectangle, triangle. So this triangle, the base is 1, the height is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Half of 2, 1. Rectangle, base times height, 1 times 2, 2. Triangle, base is 2, height is 2, which is 4. Half of that is 2. Right? So the area, this is 1, negative 3, 1, 2, and 2. So now that that's done, we can go through and do each of these. Now for A, it says from negative 1 to 3. So what is it from here to here? Now, since it's not, negative 3 is all the way to 4. I don't want that. I need this. So what I need to do is split this one big triangle into 2 triangles. So this one here was 2 times 2, which is 4. Half of that is 2. So this is negative 2, and this is negative 1, which adds up to the negative 3 we had before. So to figure out what it is from negative 1 to 3, you simply just add 1 plus negative 2. Negative 1 is your answer. All right, for B, 4 to 8. 1 plus 2 plus 2. 5. All right, now for C, 1 to 4 is negative 3. Negative 2 and 1. Negative 2 and negative 1 is negative 3. From negative 1 to 8, but you have this absolute value. So it's negative 1 to 8, it's the entire figure. Absolute value means anything that is negative becomes positive. So 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 2 is 9. Right? For E, anytime A and B are the same, doesn't matter what's going on, what number it is, as long as they're the same, the answer is always 0. All right, 4 to 8. So we're looking from here to here, but we have this 2 here. All right, this 2 really just gets moved to the outside. So you're doing the integral from 4 to 8 of f of x, which you already did in B, which was 5, and then doing 5 times 2, which is 10. All right, now on to G. G is the tricky one. All right, G is the tricky one. G, all right, this one right here is the one that we went over in class that everyone always makes mistakes on. All right, what you need to realize is we need to split this up into 2 integrals. All right, now the first integral, 1 to 4 of f of x, we already did right here, and that is negative 3, right? 1 to 4 is negative 3. Now this, from 1 to 4 2, this has nothing to do with f of x. All right, remember, if you have a constant, all right, let's say it's my graph. 2 is a horizontal line going through 2. All right, from 1 to 4, there's 1, there's 4. The shape we get is a rectangle. So this integral is the area of this region right here. All right, so it's base times height. The base is the difference between our 4 and our 1, which is 3. The height is this right here, which is whatever this number is, which is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. So negative 3 plus 6 gives us an answer of 3. All right, and then the very last one is H. All right, this looks very similar to A, except look at the order. We now have a bigger number on A and a smaller number in B. Whenever that happens is you would look at negative 1 to 3, add them up like we did here, and get negative 1, and take the opposite of that, the negative of that. Opposite of negative 1, positive 1. All right. If you guys have any questions after me going through all of this, just make sure you contact me through email or whatever, and I will see if I can do a better job of explaining it. All right. Have a good one, guys. See ya.